You're watching the Stetson Law Channel. Welcome to Stetson Law Live, an online, interactive, informational event for prospective students of Stetson University College of Law. On today's program, Kristen McConnell, J.R. Swanegan. Our topic today, the Study Abroad Program.
Hello, and welcome from sunny St. Petersburg, Florida. My name is J.R. Swanegan. I am the Assistant Dean of International and Graduate Programs here at Stetson University College of Law. I'm joined by my colleague, Kristen McConnell, the Associate Director of International Programs, and we're really excited to have you join us today to learn a bit about our partner programs and study abroad opportunities over the summer of 2019. I will tell you that one of the things that we really find useful with these programs is the seamless nature of being able to partner together with the various institutions that we are speaking with today. We're talking to students all over the country at any ABA law school that may be joining us, but also the 9 partner institutions that we work with specifically. And what we found is that the process in applying for the programs, applying for financial aid for the programs, and registering for the courses is a seamless one that we're very proud of in being able to provide to you as students. I will tell you that with all of the programs you're going to learn about today, financial aid is available if you are eligible for financial aid. And when we talk about what that means, it means that you are eligible to be able to cover the costs of your airfare, your accommodations, transportation on the ground and in between the programs, as well as the tuition for the programs and your per diem during your stay in country. We also do work closely with your institutions that if there is some need and you may need to take an advance for your airfare, we are sometimes able to work with you to be able to take an advance for airfare for all of the programs as well. But let's jump right into the programs, and I'll turn it over to my colleague Kristen to talk about the Granada and Hague programs, and then I will talk about the Cape Town and Oxford programs.
So we have some slides to share with you. So we have 4 programs we're going to talk to you about today. So as JR said, I'm going to do Granada and the Hague, and you'll see that we have two boxes there for the Hague because we have 2 different tracks of programs in the Hague. Unfortunately, the first track is already full, but we still have space available in Spain and in track 2 of the Hague. There's also space available in Cape Town. Moving on to the next slide. So we'll jump right into Granada. So Granada, Spain is June 8th to July 5th, and this is a 4-week program for 4 credits. Each class is held from Monday through Thursday from 10 to 1 in Spain. We can't get anyone to open the doors any earlier than 10 o'clock in Spain. Everybody stays out late. So we run the program, the classes run from 10 to 1 every Monday through Thursday. From Thursday afternoon until Sunday, you have the weekends free to travel and do whatever you want, except for the one weekend that we take you to Gibraltar and Morocco as a mandatory excursion. So you go visit a Supreme Court justice in Gibraltar, and then you go on over to Morocco and spend an overnight, and that is a mandatory excursion, and we handle all of the logistics for that, and it's covered in the cost of the program. This is the curriculum for the Granada program. Again, the 4 courses. We pull on the faculty from our partner schools, so we have Nova, Stetson, and Charleston represented in this program. Mike Dale from Nova will be the resident director in this program. He's absolutely fantastic. He was our London program director when we had that program running. You'll see at the bottom here that the Granada program includes visits to the Alhambra, the Association of Attorneys, and the Supreme Court in Granada, and as I mentioned before, the Gibraltar and Morocco trip. This is a shot of the classroom there, just so you know what it kind of looks like. It is quite modern. They have air conditioning in the classroom, which is kind of unusual in Spain and Europe itself. They don't usually do air conditioning, so we've been fortunate to have an air-conditioned classroom space there. These are just some pictures of our students enjoying the Granada program in the past. When we go to Gibraltar, everybody likes to see the monkeys and pose with the monkeys, so that's what some of those shots are. And then we'll move on to the Hague, just quickly. So the Hague, our program in the Hague is held in the International Institute for Social Studies, called the ISS there in the center picture. It is in a great location in The Hague. As I mentioned, we are running 2 tracks in that program. the first one being full, but basically everybody does the same thing in each program, but they just have different classes. So you still do the same field trips, you still do all the same excursions, you'll have the same resident director, but you're going to be in separate classrooms. The classrooms are right next door to each other. I put the big full over top of the first one because it is full to capacity. If someone drops out, if you just are dying to get into track 1, you can be on a wait list, but we're trying to put people in track 2 at this point. And again, pulling on faculty from Charleston, Nova, Stetson, Mercer in this program. All of these courses can be found online. If you look at our website, the courses, the budgets, the excursions, everything, the application is all online. It's an online application that's very easy to do. The excursions in The Hague include the International Court of Justice, the International Criminal Court. Sometimes we go to the Iran U.S. Claims Tribunal. We always try to find something. I know for Track 1 students that are going this year, there's an international legal research class, and we're hoping to get library passes to the library at the International Court of Justice to use. And now I'll turn it over to JR to talk about Cape Town.
Thank you. And just as Kristen said, it is important if you're interested in the Hague program specifically, the space is becoming relatively limited. So we would encourage you to apply sooner than later with that program. With our Granada program, we have a capacity of 25 students in that program, and we're in a position where we're also approaching capacity there. And then the 2 programs that I'll talk about coming up are the Cape Town and Oxford program. Stan, may I get the slide, please? So we'll start with the Cape Town program. This is a program that we are very proud of institutionally here at Stetson. This will be the 2nd running of the program, so it follows a similar format to the programs that Kristen just discussed with you. It's a 4-week, 4-credit-hour program. The topic of the course is international human rights, and Cape Town itself is a great space for a real opportunity to educate yourself in the space of international human rights. You'll see here in some of the pictures Table Rock Mountain that surrounds Cape Town as a city. One of the really interesting field trips that we participate in is visiting one of the townships in the city. So the townships are the areas where, under apartheid, the Black citizens of South Africa lived, and it's an opportunity to be able to learn about what types of legal opportunities are available, but also what life in a township is like, what the community is doing to support itself and bring the community up in a time and space where apartheid ended close to 20 years ago, but there are still lasting remnants of that system. You'll see down on the bottom right-hand corner a picture that was actually taken by one of our students during our safari. We visited the Fairy Glen Game Reserve and had the opportunity. This was about 15 feet from a lion that looks hungry based on the tongue sticking out of the mouth. And then the colorful buildings that might remind some of you of Key West is the Bokop area of Cape Town. So that is the area where it's a primarily Muslim area. Again, that's a byproduct of apartheid and people being separated out based on their race or religion, but now is an area that still has a significant Muslim culture, and we've added to the program this year what I think is going to be a really exciting opportunity, a Bokop cooking tour. So having an opportunity to visit someone's home and do a cooking class in the traditional sort of style of the area. As I had suggested, the courses themselves are focused on international human rights. So again, we have a very nice mix of faculty members from our partner institutions. Professor Gerwig Moore actually taught in the program last year, and she's returning this year. She has an interesting story as well, in that she spent a semester or a year in South Africa during her college years and brings a lot of depth of knowledge about the space itself. And then you'll see, I think I spoke mostly about the tours and opportunities that will be available, but having the opportunity to do a safari, to visit Robben Island, where Nelson Mandela was held prisoner for 18 years, being able to see Nelson Mandela's cell. We will visit the University of Cape Town Legal Clinic, which was an interesting experience for our students last year. Our law students got to go and visit the clinics, which look a lot like our legal clinics here in the U.S., being able to interact with law students who are doing work in the townships and being able to learn from them and be able to compare some of the work you might be doing or might be interested or passionate about, as well as being able to talk with law students in Cape Town and in South Africa. Just a few additional photos. The Cape of Good Hope is the small picture that you see on the top left, which is the furthest southwestern point of Africa, and during that visit, you'll have the opportunity to see the penguins there, and just beautiful landscapes, beautiful scenery. It's a city that's on the water, that has a very European feel, but also it is a nice mix of Europe and Africa, and just a sometimes welcome sort of introduction to learning more about Africa. The Oxford program, and before I move on to the Oxford program, I will say the Cape Town program has a capacity of 25 students, so we're about halfway to capacity for that program. So again, if you're interested in the program itself, I would encourage you to apply sooner than later to ensure that you are able to lock your space in. And then finally, our Oxford program. This is a program that we have had for the past 4 years. It leverages Stetson's strength in trial advocacy. Stetson is consistently ranked as the #1 institution, the #1 law school nationally and internationally in trial advocacy. And we partner specifically with St. Hugh's College, which is one of the institutions that falls under the umbrella of Oxford University in Oxford. So Oxford University, as most students don't know, is a collection or an umbrella of 28 to 30 different universities, and St. Hugh's happens to be one of those institutions. It was formerly an all-women's college, and George Clooney's wife, who is a prosecutor, Amal Clooney, is an alum of this institution. But it's an amazing opportunity to be able to do a comparative trial advocacy course with some of the best faculty members and teachers in the world at teaching these types of skills. The course is a 2-week course. It runs from July 21st through August 3rd, and it's a 3-credit-hour course. We have space for 40 students in this program, and we're about halfway to that mark as well. So again, it's not necessarily apply today, but apply sooner than later if this is a course that you're interested in. We stay on St. Hugh's College. We utilize their courtroom space and their classroom space. It's one of the really unique things about this program is that the students are broken into small groups, and they work with facilitators who are experts in trial advocacy from all over the country, including Puerto Rico, where you see one of our faculty members in the center picture, University of Missouri, Kansas City, and American University up in the top right corner. But just a great opportunity to be able to work in a not necessarily one-on-one, but one-on-3, one-on-4 type of environment to learn from the best in this space. So the courses themselves will meet Mondays through Fridays during the 2 weeks that you're in the program, from 9 o'clock until 1 o'clock p.m. So you have class 4 hours a day. And then your exams will be held at the last 2 days of the program. And that actually brings me to a question that we often get about the courses themselves and exams. With the other programs that we've already discussed, we use a program called ExamSoft. And so you will not take your exams while you're in country or on location for the program. You'll receive those exams the week after you have completed the program, and you'll have 1 week to be able to complete the 1-hour exams dedicated to each of the courses in the program. So I think that covers that area. And then just some of the additional activities that we have in the Oxford program. We'll do a walking tour of Oxford. We visit the local courts. We have the opportunity to do an amazing welcome event at the principal of St. Hugh's College. She is the former Solicitor General of Scotland, the first female Solicitor General of Scotland, Ailish Angelini, who is now the equivalent of the Dean of St. Hugh's College. And she welcomes our students and participants into her home to be able to give you the experience of the true Oxford Harry Potter kind of experience. It's an estate that's actually on the campus, and it's just a beautiful way to introduce you to the city itself. Here's a map of the campus, which is a relatively small campus, but very quaint and very English. And then your housing at Oxford, it's going to be, we have the housing separated between 2 separate campuses. So all of the rooms are single rooms. The first 23 rooms are located on St. Hugh's College, and then the remaining rooms are at St. Anne's College, which is about a 5-minute walk from St. Hugh's College. So there is some benefit to being an early signer for the program or an early applicant for the program, in that you don't have to walk but 30 seconds to be able to get to your classroom space. And you can see in the bottom picture, I know it's a little bit small, but you can see in the bottom picture, it's a dorm room style furnishing. It's basic, but very modern and very nice, kind of reminds you a bit of IKEA. And breakfast is included in this program every day. And I will turn it over to Kristen to talk about the process.
So one other thing I'd like to mention when JR and I are talking about these programs, it is possible to do more than one program. So you can do programs back to back. A lot of people like to do the Granada and Hague program back to back because they're separated by one weekend. So you finish in Granada on Friday and you start in the Hague on Sunday. So again, there's still room in track 2 for the Hague. If anyone's interested in doing that, I've also had people do Granada and Oxford. If you do Cape Town, you kind of can only do Cape Town. But just wanted to mention that in case anybody's interested. So with the application process, it's fairly easy. As I mentioned earlier, the application is online and really easy to access. It will probably take you about 3 minutes to fill out the application. It is only biographical information. Probably the hardest question on there is your emergency contact information. So if you're interested in a program, go ahead and sign up. If you don't have to necessarily pay your deposit right away. If you're sure you want to go, you want to pay your deposit. The deposit is $350. It's non-refundable. That will secure your seat in the program. But the application, if you start your application, at least it gets you on my list. If the program starts filling up with deposits and you haven't filled yours, I will reach out to you and let you know that if you really want to go, you have to pay your deposit. So that way I won't let you fall through the cracks. There's also on these program websites, we have a website for each program. So where you'll find the application, you'll also find the student budget and that sort of thing. But I have started creating documents that I call the A to Z documents. So there's a Granada A to Z, there's a Hague A to Z. I'm still working on the Oxford and Cape Town A to Z. I hope to have those up within the next week or two. But basically, it is just that. It is A to Z, how you start when you're considering a program, the application process, what you need to do, the what to expect before you go, what happens, what you should expect when you're there, what happens afterwards, and it covers the exam process that JR mentioned earlier as well. So I encourage you actually have to sign off on the application that you've read those documents because just about every question that anyone's ever asked me is in that document. If you don't find it in the document, ask me and I'll probably put it in there. And again, I am here to help with all your questions. I will help you through the application process. I'll be the person that you deal with primarily and sometimes only. So if you have any questions, it doesn't matter how small, how large, please feel free to ask me if you have any questions or concerns. I'm your person. If you have issues with financial aid or you're not quite sure how to do that process after you've read the A to Z, please feel free to reach out to me. Did I miss anything, JR?
I did want to say I missed something when I was talking about the Cape Town program is that the housing in the Cape Town program is actually a hotel housing. So it's basically a suite that's available, but it's individual suites for each of the student participants in the programs. And we're able to keep the costs reasonable because it is winter in South Africa when it is summer here. And I don't recall if we spoke about the housing in Granada, Spain, but the housing in Granada is a hotel as well that is sort of a European style hotel that we are able to rent out. It would be the equivalent of kind of a bed and breakfast, and it's a very nice. It's very nice accommodations. There is a kitchen available for the students to be able to utilize the kitchen, but there's also the culture of being able to do tapas and wine or beer and the opportunity to be able to buy a small drink and then get some food. And so it's a great way to explore the city from a culinary perspective. And then with the Hague programs, I think we did cover that with both the Hague and Oxford programs. The housing in those programs is more dorm style than the other two programs. So I will, if we can open it up to just a few questions for Kristen. I did want to ask, and I'm checking the screen. I don't see that we have any questions from the audience right now, but some of the questions that we will typically get from students is maybe starting first with, are students able to do two programs?
Yes. So as I mentioned before, you can do either the Hague, you can do Granada and Hague or Granada and Oxford. Cape Town, if you do Cape Town, excludes you from doing any other programs because of timing. But you can do Granada, Hague, and honestly, it's kind of a money saver because you're only paying for one ticket to Europe. Travel within Europe is very inexpensive compared to what we think of when we travel interstate here in the U.S. You can travel, throughout Europe for about $100 round trip anywhere almost, and they also have a lot of great train system. So if you buy one ticket to Europe, you go to Granada and you have that weekend in between. I was speaking with a student the other day who did it a couple of years ago. She said she spent the weekend in Italy between Granada and The Hague, and then went on to The Hague and did another 4 weeks. So she basically got 8 credits in 8 weeks and had an amazing summer. You could also do Granada and Oxford and have about 2 weeks in between the two programs to hang around Europe, do your thing. We did have some students a few years ago who did Granada, Oxford, and we have the Hague program happening between that. So they knew people in The Hague and came and kind of hung around with their friends in The Hague during their time in between. So it is possible to do 2 programs. And some schools encourage that, because if you're going to be gone for the summer, you should just be gone for the summer. I know a lot of students are concerned about whether or not they should work their first summer after their 1L year, or if they should do a study abroad program. And we tend to tell students that they should focus on studying abroad that first summer and work on the work side of it, the externships and that sort of thing, their second summer.
And that's a great point. And I will say that there are opportunities that if you do have the opportunity after your first year to be able to work as well, that is something that we have seen students in the past be able to do based on the timing of the programs themselves. So that is something that is available to you and something that you can still consider, where you could potentially split your summer between a study abroad experience and an externship experience. I'd also like to add to what Kristen had said, is that with many of these programs, and when you're looking at the budgets, the program budgets online for each of the programs, there are certain areas where we estimate high, or we budget high, to be able to ensure that the students are able to ensure that financial aid will cover these educational experience to the fullest extent. So as an example, we may budget the airfare higher than what it would likely be if you know that you want to go early. You're able to monitor ticket prices, and you're able to get it, and you give yourself some time to be able to get the most reasonable ticket. Again, the per diems, when we look at those, we use a formula where we look at the State Department per diems, and then we say, what will our students need to be able to live within a certain country in a certain locale for the duration of a month or 2 weeks in the case of the Oxford program. But we have found that our students are really entrepreneurial, very innovative in finding cost-saving opportunities to be able to explore whatever region it is they ultimately choose. And so I just want to echo some of Kristen's sentiments that the biggest expense or the biggest cost is being able to get to these locations. Once you're there, our students find that there are budget airlines, there are Airbnbs, there are opportunities to be able to travel with one another as a group to cut on costs in that way. And we're always surprised and excited by all of the different sites and areas and locations that our students are really able to see in these capacities. So again, we would suggest that you take full advantage of the opportunities to be able to learn more about the location that you're going to be studying in, but also be able to take in some of the additional opportunities and experiences. And I will just add that one of the great things that Kristen does with all of these programs is she creates Facebook groups. Those Facebook groups allow for us to be able to connect our students in all of the programs in advance of going on the program. So I recognize that some of you may not use Facebook. All of that information would be provided to you through your formal email address that you place in the registration materials. But the Facebook groups do allow for our students to connect in advance of being able to go on the trip. They can talk about, I'm leaving from the Atlanta airport on such and such day. Does anyone want to fly with me? Or there's a World Cup soccer game this summer in this location. Does anyone want to go to the World Cup soccer game? And there are ways that our students are able to come together and connect in advance of the program, because all in all, Stetson sends close to 200 students a year abroad. So we do look for opportunities, and those students come from all over the country. About 100 students come from Stetson, and another 100 students come from your law schools that we're talking to right now, and other ABA law schools. So again, we do what we can to personalize this experience, to be able to draw you together and be able to give you what we consider the best study abroad experiences that you can get from a law school perspective.
And can I add something?
So
I'd like to add, build on that a little bit too. If you're interested in doing this and you've never studied abroad before, you've never been overseas, this is a really great way to do it, because you have a safety net there. We have the resident director in place, you have faculty in place, and you always have me back here in Florida to help you out. But if you've never been overseas, this is a really great way to do it because you're going with a bunch of people who are doing exactly the same thing that you're doing. You have people to rely on if anything goes wrong. And I always tell the students, anytime you go overseas, it doesn't matter how much you plan, something's going to go wrong and you're going to have to solve that problem, which helps you develop the soft skills that employers are looking for. They're looking for people who can problem solve and adapt. And inevitably, as I said, no matter how prepared you are, something will go wrong. And that's not said to scare anybody, but that's just said to prepare you so that when it does go wrong, that you're prepared to work your way through it and get on the other side of it. And it's going to make for a great story when you get back to the States. But we do have that safety net there for you in case you need help. We provide, everybody has to have insurance. That's part of the program cost, and it's covered by financial aid as well. It works very well. If you need to go to the doctor or something, the resident director can help you get to the doctor, you get prescriptions, whatever you need. So it's nice to have a bit of a safety net there. You're not going by yourself. And the Facebook group is fantastic, as JR said, to get to know each other before you go, to work out traveling together. Once we're on the ground there in the programs, I found that the students use it a lot for like a discussion group, like a memo board, like, hey, we're going to dinner tonight at such and such a place at such and such a time, who wants to go? So and then afterwards, everybody shares their pictures. It's really nice. I eventually shut them down, but it's a really nice way, as JR said, to personalize the programs and share information, and anything substantive will never be placed only in the Facebook group. I always share that through email as well for those who are not on Facebook. You can always email me. I'm at kmcconnell@law.stetson.edu, or you can call me, 727-562-7555. We're on Facebook. We're on Instagram. Follow us in both places. And we hope to see your applications and see you in our program.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching Stetson Law Live. For your convenience, our contact information will remain on the screen for the next few minutes.